So we are three friends who are interested in a variety of different topics. We each come from different backgrounds. The basic premise of the show is that one of us every week will prepare a topic, and the other two will basically, like the nincompoops we are, we'll just bring our good old selves to the table and try to have a quote unquote mature discussion about it and see where that takes us. I hope I did a decent enough job of explaining the premise.
That sounds very nice. In reality, it is that the three of us have specific mental illnesses. So we go down rabbit
For
holes.
God's sake, it's the first episode, Ashmita.
We go down rabbit holes of useless information, and now we want to paste that information onto each other
Yeah, yeah.
and anybody
Fair.
who
Fair
is
enough.
And the four of you who are interested in listening to this. We don't expect a lot of people to be listening to this, to be very honest, but
lot of people.
I think we're going viral. I think.
yeah. I mean, a lot of people would be five by my count, but I don't even expect
Generous.
5 people to be listening to this at this point of time. Hopefully, we'll hit that mark over the next 5 months or so.
Oh
but
my god! Do you know how much effort I put into this?
yes, but
Hello.
podcast.
My
He set up
God.
the whole damn thing. हाँ, मैंने बहुत मेहनत की है research करने में यार.
No one is denying that, but podcasts aren't born overnight. I mean, we were sort of born overnight, but podcasts don't go viral overnight. So it takes a lot of effort. I'm sure you all realize that.
Plus viral has the PTSD element for us also, no? इसको viral करा दो वाला बहुत scene हुआ है.
Yeah, I mean, Ashmita here is harkening back to our times with a lot of very, very pleasant clients that we worked with who sort of threw 10 rupees in our face and wanted us to make stuff go viral. So stuff like, I'm sure a lot of people can correlate to
Ooh.
that.
Do you remember the Coca-Cola one?
Yes.
Not that Coca-Cola was ever our client. I cannot name them, but
Yeah,
the
yeah, I
gentleman.
know.
Do you remember, Prakhar?
What? I
The
don't remember
gentleman
the.
who
We were working for a brand who was working with this association of liquor spirit. Yeah.
And they wanted with a budget of what 60,000 rupees per month or something like
Yes,
that. They wanted to
yes.
become Coca-Cola. They wanted open happiness wala recall. In what 3 months, 2 months?
Yeah, some ridiculous amount of time.
It
like
took a
that.
lot of years for Coca-Cola also to get to
Yes.
that.
And plus,
Open
open happiness
happiness
was actually good.
Yeah.
This is a very novice attempt of us to record about stuff that we really don't know anything about, but at least on the surface level, we pretend to care a little bit about. So,
Wow.
is that too far?
My confidence just keeps going up here.
Is that too far? Is that too blunt? Too blunt a line to say?
But that's all right. I can't expect you to not be blunt.
Yeah, I mean,
I put you through that enough last evening.
well, they do say the mic records the truth. Well, here
Who
I
says
am.
that?
They. I don't know who they are, but they say. You can ask ChatGPT who they are.
No,
I'm sure he'll throw up like at least 15 different names who said this, but
Did you
Moment
guys
of
see
wisdom.
Did you guys see the one where ChatGPT threw out? I think Chicago Sun Times printed out a post, not printed, published a list where more than half of the books were AI generated. So you know those listicles that come out.
uh-huh.
So they are like, I mean, you publish listicles of books that are, oh, this summer you should read these books
Yeah,
and
yeah,
everything. Somebody from Chicago Sun, they the writer, instead of going out researching, asking publishers or authors or something,
Oh,
they put on
no.
ChatGPT, and the list that came out, half of them were fake books. And Chicago Sun published it also, man.
No wonder Chicago Sun is so world renowned.
Jesus. Wow.
What, am I wrong?
No, that is correct. That is absolutely correct.
Then what's the issue?
No, there's no issue. Why are you attacking me? There's no issue. Yes, I do forget. See, that's why I have so many notes, because I forget what I'm saying in the middle of a sentence. Okay. So I'm going to talk to you guys about a particular topic that has been, well, bothering me. So I have fully embraced my Debbie Downer party pooper side. So have you guys heard of this concept called carbon lock-in?
I'm very vaguely familiar with it. I don't know the exact science behind it. Having worked in the field of sustainability loosely for the past 10 years or so, I have heard the term being mentioned multiple times, but I've never been able to nail down the exact science or the facts behind it.
Okay. So I'll give you what Wikipedia is saying first, okay? Definition, bear with me. It says carbon lock-in refers to the self-perpetuating inertia created by large fossil fuel-based energy systems that inhibits public and private efforts to introduce alternative energy technologies. Well,
Well, if any one of you wanted to understand that, congratulations. None of us did.
yeah. We are going to make it far simpler, and we are going to discuss this a little bit more. But basically, what the concept is. So, you know that we are trying to reach net zero, right? The Paris Agreement was made in 2016, and we want to reach net zero. Net zero kya hai? Net zero is the amount of GHG, which is greenhouse gas emissions. They are just a caveat here. They are starting off with carbon emissions. So let's call it carbon emissions as of now, just to make it simple. Okay, the amount of carbon emissions that we produce minus the amount of carbon we are able to remove from the environment should be equal to 0 by 2050.
2050.
2050. That's the goal. We are not on track.
Very
Of
bold.
course.
Yes, we are
Color
not on
me
track.
surprised.
Very bold.
on a side note, what's the color of surprise? Any thoughts?
Oh my God.
Purple.
Wait.
I think purple.
Purple?
How
is
Any
this-
reason why?
No, but it's just when you say the word, purple color came to my mind.
What about you, Ashmita?
I'm not an insane person. There's no color that came into
You
my
just
mind.
dropped a mental illness line like
I'm
5 minutes
insane in
ago.
a different way. Okay,
Yes.
back to net zero. Okay. so essentially, what UN says that you are supposed to cut carbon emissions, and at the same time, those emissions should be able to by nature be absorbed and stored naturally, right? Which trees do, which oceans do, right? And then, of course, we have to do what is called as CDR,
Yeah.
carbon dioxide removal as well. Okay, so we will go into that a little bit more. And the goal is to keep the global warming up to 1.5 degrees. Another side note, we have already exceeded 1.5 degrees. Yeah. So now, why is carbon lock-in such a huge thing? To reduce carbon emissions or to capture carbon, the main concept, the main thing that we require is that we have to reduce our dependency on carbon intensive things, right? Which is fossil fuels made thing. But over the past centuries, right, everything we have done is fossil fuel based. So our entire system is built on fossil fuels. Now you cannot take it apart, right? You cannot remove it, and I'll discuss with you the details, of the different kind of systems. We of course won't go into all of them, but some major ones where there is a very serious lock-in, and we are unable to remove the system altogether. Okay, for example, again we'll go into detail later on, but for example, the energy infrastructure, right? Now all of the grids, they are built on mining, fossil fuels intensive, right? Even battery led energy, renewables that we are bringing in, even they require mining, because the battery is going to be made out of mining.
For rare earth metals, right?
Rare earth metals, correct. So we are sort of fucked. Okay, so we are unequivocally, absolutely, completely
I just have a
fucked.
very, very dumb question, maybe. Like the solar panels are
Yeah.
also made up of whatever material. I don't know the name right
I
now,
think
but like
so.
it is
They're
also
made of primarily silica, if I'm not mistaken. Silicon based.
And that is, but I don't know about that. That's a good
Silicon, I
distinction.
don't think it's a rare earth metal. Silicon is
Yeah.
abundantly available in Earth's ecosystem.
Yeah, and most of the mining that happens is of lithium, cobalt.
Yes.
Okay, so it is not related to then.
Probably not the panels, but the problem with, so this is where the issue comes in,
The
right?
storage.
It's the entire life cycle, not just the storage. Ek to build out solar panels, you need to have that much area. So there have been cases where deforestation has happened. You have to take away agricultural land to build out solar panels, right? That's a massive problem. Plus there are backups required. Okay, solar or wind is not available all the time. Backups require building batteries. Batteries require lithium, cobalt, nickel, all of these things. So we are back to the same problem. You see what the issue is. Our systems are built in a way where we have essentially fucked ourselves, and now there is no way of unfucking ourselves.
If I may just interject for a second. I understand and recognize the fact that we're on the topic of carbon lock-in, but it's very widely believed that the main cause of global warming and climate change is not necessarily carbon, but the other greenhouse gases such as methane and so on.
Correct.
Am I right in saying that?
Yes. It's not main. Now, I'm not a scientist, right? So I don't know the exact issue. Methane, what the problem with methane is? Methane is far more potent than carbon. Okay. So if you are, say today, and I need to check what the numbers say, but from what I remember, methane has 100 times more potency today than carbon. But also the problem is methane lasts longer in the environment. Okay. So methane will produce, even after 100 years, methane still has 28 times more potency than carbon. That's a problem. So when we talk about carbon removal, okay, or carbon emissions reduction, we talk about, that's what I said in the beginning, right? We are talking about all greenhouse gases, but just to make it a
The
simple
terminology.
conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
And also IPCC, the intergovernmental body of UN, it's called Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. I just looked it up, okay? So basically what they have found out is that, what were we talking about? I have forgotten, of course.
Shout out to the UN.
Nonsense. But what were we, why did I bring that up? Ah, yes.
IPCC.
Now I forgot. Now I remember.
Now I forgot.
It's
Now I remember.
Exhibit B of the mental illness.
Yes.
So basically they have said that we are going to reach net zero for carbon. If we do this properly, we are going to reach net zero of carbon before we reach net zero of other GHG gases, which is on track. Now, when we talk about making green solutions, right? We cannot just focus on the environment. So it's not just carbon lock-in that is a problem. It is also the fact that the extraction continues to happen, the exploitation continues to happen. It is just that global north can pretend that it is using clean and green and nice energy, while global south is getting absolutely fucked all the time, right? For example, there was this, about this organization called RAID UK. They're sort of a watchdog, right? They did a study where, so cobalt mines, okay, are primarily in countries like
Africa. Mostly African countries.
yes,
Yes.
and also South American, also China, right? So Congo, Chile, China, these, right? DRC, these are the countries.
Mm-hmm.
Now they did a study in DRC,
Mm-hmm.
okay, Democratic Republic of Congo,
Mm-hmm.
and they found out, listen to this, the people who are living nearby, they interviewed them, okay, and an overwhelming amount, 99% of those surveyed, that is people around the mines, said that the mines have led to reduced fish and crop yield. Okay. About 70% have said that they can no longer afford healthcare. Why is that so? The costs have increased, and there we know how miners are paid, right? So there is so much exploitation that happens. There is tremendous amount of water and air pollution that happens because of mining. Why? So that global north can say that, oh, we are clean. It is the problem is China and India. So even if we move to renewables completely, we are still going to need backups. We are still going to need, um, you know, mining for those batteries to create those backups. So we are still fucked that way. Okay. Then there are backups created by, or backups, or actually electricity generated by hydropower, right? For so many years we have said hydropower is better, and in one way it is, right? It is longer duration. It's longer duration.
But the
It is more
infrastructure requirements for,
exactly.
yeah.
So one, the river ecosystem or the water body ecosystem is fucked, right? There is also, Sandy, what you were talking about earlier, there's also a lot more methane generation because you are stopping water. Water is supposed to be flowing, so there's a lot more anaerobic activity that is going on. So there's a lot more methane generation in the reservoirs, right? There is also displacement of people. I'll tell you about this. There was this research done by this professor of in university, Pennsylvania University, and they talked about displacement of people. And they gave an example. Remember, this is just one. For example, the Three Gorges Dam in China, completed in the mid 2000s, displaced more than 1.2 million people. And the more recent Belo Monte Dam in the Brazilian Amazon, finished in 2019, displaced as many as 40,000 farmers and urban residents. Shout out to our supreme leader who has displaced people while construction of our beautiful temple. We're going to get banned, no?
Well, now we're
No,
down
there is
to
no
two
one
listeners
listening.
now.
What do
Yeah.
you mean 2 listeners?
Yeah. There were three first.
No,
Which was
there
the
are
three
now
of us?
5 because there are 3 who are surveilling us now.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
Shout
So-
out to Homie G.
At least we have each other.
At least we have each other. Unless they put us in separate jails. Anyway, so this is the energy infrastructure lock-in. Okay, there is more. There's also the transport lock-in. You remember the rage of EVs that Elon Musk brought in, and the savior of the world and everything that he brought in, right?
He still is. Carry
Can
on.
you clarify that you're being sarcastic? It's not. People don't know you, Sandy.
He will take down America with him. So I mean, in a way, he might be saving the world. You never
That
know.
explains. I agree. He is a savior.
Yeah, that way. Okay, anyway. So EVs, why were EVs hailed as the next big thing? Because they do solve one problem, right? They do reduce pipe emissions. Okay. So of an individual car, it is reduced. But we now have to go back. What our energy problem was, energy lock-in was also an issue, is that we are not seeing things from an entire life cycle, right? When you look at entire life cycle of EVs, the same problem comes up. Batteries, right? Our batteries, our infrastructure of building EVs, like any other thing, is very fossil fuel intensive. We have to do a lot of mining. Plus, they are not recyclable. I think about 5% of batteries are recyclable, are being recycled today, or are recyclable, right? Which is, and same mining problem continues harming indigenous rights, continues taking land from people that it actually belongs to. It's a constant issue, right? And we are again locked in there, right? We are unable to move forward, right? That is transport. Built environment lock-in. What is built environment? Built environment basically means construction and everything. I have a friend who's working in agriculture industry, and she's very involved with what happens in the environment, how our how is everything, you know, like the impact on pollution and all of that. And remember how we are told constantly sitting in Delhi that it is crop burning and Diwali that leads to this.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But that is not
No, it is
true.
construction. It is
Yeah.
mostly
Construction
construction.
dust.
For the one
and-
person who stays out of India and doesn't know what we're talking about, roughly around September, October, November every year, Delhi is literally covered in a very thick sheet of fog plus smoke, which we very lovingly refer to as smog. And it's a very, very common phenomenon which has been taking place for, I don't know, at least 10 years,
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
even more probably. So, yeah, I mean, more often than not, it's attributed to this concept of crop burning by farmers in the nearby areas near Delhi. But that's what we're alluding to now.
Yeah. Also, another side note, you still shouldn't burn firecrackers. So if there is a single right winger still listening, we are against burning firecrackers. Please don't do
Okay.
that. Anyway,
There goes another listener.
bold of you to assume that a right winger is still sticking on here. Anyway, now, built environment, we are trying to change how we use construction materials, right? We are trying to bring in more quote unquote sustainable construction materials, like something called as cross laminated timber, okay, which is essentially blocks that are glued together,
Mhm.
right? If you source this sustainably, which is a big if you source this sustainably, it's actually pretty good because
Mhm.
there is lower carbon as compared to concrete and steel. There is also it's wood, right? So it stores carbon in its
Right.
life cycle, okay? And if you dispose it off properly, there is also that carbon not being emitted. And there are a lot of advantages to it. Like I was reading some paper on how it is actually more fire resistant.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of benefits. It's longer lasting. So definitely a lot of benefits. What is the problem? There is another study that says that CLT, which is cross laminated timber, will require about 3% of global forest area to meet the needs, and this is as of 2019.
Mhm.
Okay. There is responsible sourcing possible, but this makes deforestation a very real concern, right? Plus, we have seen what happens with when one particular nature based product is harped as the solution to everything, whether that is sustainable solution, whether that is economic solution.
Mhm.
For example, British colonizers, they made sure India was producing only indigo, right? Monoculture is a big problem, right? Then the potato issue in Ireland, right? So it was all done by British colonizers because they wanted profits out of it. My fear is that we are heading with hailing one thing as the savior of an industry. We are again heading towards that particular direction, right? Where we are encouraging monoculture, we are encouraging exploiting other people for this.
So is there also a cost to sustainable development?
There is a cost, and that actually brings me to the solution of what we can actually do. There is a cost. The cost is we have to first understand that there is nothing known as unlimited resources. Renewables are also, maybe the renewable energy in itself is unlimited, so to say, for your lifetime, right? Or for next however many lifetimes before the sun goes away. That is not, we are substituting one, so to say, infinite source for another, so to say, infinite source, right? Both of which is a false narrative. We live on a finite planet. We do not have infinite resources. We cannot have any solution if we continue with the idea of extraction. It just doesn't exist. So what can you and I do? We can do better consumption. We can actually start except Sandy, because like you anyway don't like buying things, but the rest of the people, like we need to start questioning, do I really need to buy this? Am I buying this
In economic
ethically?
circles, is referred to as being frugal.
Frugal, yes. Okay. And not just us, to be very fair, I think the responsibility, and it's not just me, it is widely agreed upon that the responsibility lies with the top bracket, right? people right at the top who have been exploiting and extracting, and they are the ones who are responsible for the situation we are in. They have to realize that they cannot be billionaires. There's nothing known as an ethical billionaire. You don't exist. If you have billions, you have not paid people. That's how you have billions. And Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates and Narayan Murthy and who else?
When's our next Amazon order coming in?
Yeah, man, we need to stop that.
Wait a
also.
minute, it just got cancelled.
We need to stop that. That is okay. Now, this is where the solution also comes in pretty much. Like, we need to change our behavior quite a lot. Okay. There are a lot of resources. Okay. There are a lot of resources that we can all read, understand, listen to. We can see what people are talking about, because nobody has a perfect solution as of today. What we are expecting out of this entire situation is that within our current systems, we will find perfect solutions. But I think carbon lock-in is proof that we can't, right?
Yeah.
We cannot
Yep.
have the same thought process, the same systems, and expect that we will suddenly have a different solution and we'll all be fine. No, we need to understand that we have to live within limited resources, and it is fine. It's a good life within limited resources. There are policy and business level changes that need to happen. There is no way around it, right? But let's not forget that any change that has happened that's worth looking at, right? Whether it was the feminism movement, right? Whether it was the civil rights movement, whether it was the union labor's movement, everything started from people, from common people coming together and saying, we will not put up with this nonsense anymore, right? So there is that need as well in terms of how we are looking at late stage capitalism and how we need to dismantle it. Almost borders on controversy, what are those called? Controversy theories? Yeah. No.
Conspiracy theory.
Conspiracy theories.
Exhibit C of mental illness. Yes.
Conspiracy theories. Almost borders.
I'm
on
glad
that.
I covered 3 aspects of the mental illness throughout the, over the
You have-
duration of the podcast.
And government and businesses, they have to do the actual work. I do want to talk about what that looks like as well, but I want to emphasize that we are not as powerless as it seems right now. Eh, it might take a long time, and we don't have a lot of time, but there are already a lot of people who are working towards this, who are doing a lot of good work. You just have to start seeing. And while I was researching for this, I came across so many institutions, right, that are doing some terrific work. Let me tell you about this one institution. It's called Resilient Cities Network. You should check this out. Resilient Cities Network. There are more than 100 plus cities in 46 countries, including 3 cities in India, that are trying to build out resilient cities in itself. And resilience is the first way of building a circular city, right? It is also called a regenerated or a regeneration model.
Would you happen to know the 3 cities in India?
Surat, Pune, Chennai. So there are networks that are actually doing some really, really good work. There are cities that have formed regenerated or regenerative models, right? Which is a very circular model, which is a very community led model. And one thing that I see getting repeated again and again is that the change has to be bottom up. Okay, it has to start from a community level. It has to be a hyper localized regional, change that needs to happen. Because circularity, by definition, also is that, right? You cannot make the whole globe circular with itself. You can make circular pockets to make a global circular economy.
On that topic, can I sort of press you to give me like a few actionable points that people on the ground can maybe possibly do to
Yes.
start doing
Yes.
something like this?
So,
Also, sorry.
yeah.
While we're on the topic, this might come across as jest, but I sort of mean it semi seriously. All those plastic straws we saved over the past 5 years or so, has it amounted to anything good at all?
I don't know, and I don't think so. Listen, plastic straws are not going to save or destroy the
I
environment.
agree.
Let's look at what is happening, right? People have these guys at the top. They
Mhm.
have always pushed the blame onto us common people, while they continue taking their private jets.
Mhm.
They continue an insane amount of production, right? Recycling is not going to solve the issue. It is reduction of consumption, which means reduction of
Having
production.
said that, recycling does help. Please do recycle wherever possible.
Yeah, it does help. There is, see, the percentage is low, right? Same with littering and ocean
Yes.
pollution.
So, but how
caused
would
by-
you prioritize like the biggest enemy and then going down? You know?
I think the biggest enemy is already prioritized. Like, for example, for any kind of pollution, right? Ocean pollution, maximum is being done by fisheries. Maximum pollution. We have to we have to start focusing on that. But our former employers, when we were talking about pollution, what would they talk about? Don't litter. Don't throw shit into the ocean. Of course, don't. Like that's a shitty thing to do. It's not debatable that
Those
you
are the
shouldn't.
basics, people.
Yeah. Of course, don't throw shit into the ocean. But my friend, you are the government. Are you talking to businesses to not pollute the ocean indiscriminately because they are causing majority? We are what? Littering is less than 10% or responsible for ocean pollution or even less.
That sounds like a real number. I'll say yes.
But a significantly less. I haven't found that out. A
Yeah.
significantly less percentage than fisheries, right? And the indiscriminate um, extraction again. It is consumption. It is the massive amount of consumption everywhere that is leading to all of these issues, right? So what can we as people start doing? See, one is, of course, organizing. If you can organize in demanding political action, there is one young girl who did that, yeah, Greta Thunberg,
Mhm.
who's become who she is, right? I realize it's not a practical solution for everybody. It is not possible to go out and protest all the time. But it is possible to raise awareness around you, right? It is
Mhm.
possible to start talking about it with your family members, with your friends, whoever is willing to listen. I've been targeting right wingers for a while now, but to be very honest, we all need to come together for this. It is not every single person has a has the agenda of self preservation, right? The political ideology changes on the basis of what we consider as self preservation, but we all need to come together on the fact that there are a certain group of people who are destroying the planet and us. Eh, they think they can escape, which is why all those private space missions, they cannot escape. So you can have some schadenfreude out of it, but I mean, the destruction is still going on. We need to be able to come together. So organizing and educating is definitely a big thing. Okay. Second thing is your how do you change your consumption patterns, right? This requires a little bit of discussion. One, you need to start thinking about the entire life cycle of the product that you're using, right? And I realize that's a lot of effort. So you don't need to do it for everything at once. Start with one thing. Maybe check your food life cycle. Maybe check what clothing you're buying, right? What is the life cycle of that clothing, right? And sometimes it's not even that you need to go out and buy the most sustainable clothing if you can't afford it. Sometimes it is taking what you have and repairing and reusing it till the end of the life cycle. Become our mothers in the best sense. Don't become them completely. Use the same clothes for 10 years, 15 years, then repair them. Then when they're unrepairable, use pocha.
Yeah.
That's what our mothers did. And that's I think that's a good way of ensuring that the life cycle is extended to as much as possible. So start with such small things, but also what about a little bit bigger impact? Because everybody just doing a little bit of small thing is not helping anymore, right? We are way past the point of baby steps. What now we are looking at is there is this book called Regeneration. Okay, let me read out the book's name to you. Regeneration: The Future of Community in a Perma-Crisis World, by Christian Sarkar, Philip Kotler, and Enrico Foglia. If you don't know who Philip Kotler is, do you know who Philip Kotler is?
I mean, I know, but might as well tell it for the benefit of the audience.
Philip Kotler is known as the father of modern marketing. He's the one who popularized the 4 Ps, right? Product, price, place, and promotion. He, for quite a few years, has been talking about the social responsibility now of businesses. And he has now partnered with quite a lot of people. I mean, Christian Sarkar and Philip Kotler partner pretty often. Then, of course, there is Enrico Foglia. I mean, they have been talking about this concept for a while, as have been quite a lot of other people.
Mhm.
I highly recommend reading this book by these 3 authors, Regeneration. They talk about how business models have to change to regenerative models,
Mhm.
which is what? Circularity. In basic, simple terms, okay? They define it as regeneration is a continuous process of local ecosystem development. Okay?
Mhm.
Continuous process, one part, and local ecosystem development, which is basically, let's take a community here and let's start implementing those changes here. Instead of ordering from Amazon,
Mhm.
let's try and find local stores that can give us that, because they are employing local people.
Mhm.
They are employing people who are contributing back to this community, right?
Mhm.
The more we exchange money within the community, not in a chit fund way, but in a production and sales way,
Yeah.
the more the local community is empowered to do that, right?
Mhm.
Let us support local businesses, and by local I mean genuinely hyper local. Let's find stores within walkable distances to
Mhm.
buy things, right? Let's not go to major departmental stores. I realize that some things we will still have to go there, because not everything is available in smaller stores, but a lot is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So a little bit more effort towards supporting people who are actually putting their money and their effort into local communities.
Mhm.
Okay? Another very interesting subject that came up in this book, Regeneration, and I've heard it now being mentioned by quite a few people, is running your business as a cooperation. Remember Amul,
Mhm.
right? I think it's a fantastic subject. We always knew it.
Yeah.
The global north is just coming to terms with it, and they are calling it what? Distribution of ownership amongst employees. I did not mean that to sound so sarcastic. It's actually a very good thing, but it is a
On the off
cooperation.
chance, that some of you don't know what Amul is, if I'm not mistaken, the largest milk cooperative in the world.
Yeah.
So it's basically in a place called Anand in India's northwestern region, called in a state called Gujarat, where a bunch of primarily women in the surrounding villages near Anand, they take milk from and most of these women are probably dairy farmers or farmers or in the agricultural sector. They have access to a lot of cattle, and they take the milk from their cattle and their dairy animals and take it to the milk cooperative in Anand, which is running under a brand called Amul. It has been there for at least as long as I can remember. It's probably much longer than that. It was brought about in India, and it was coined as the white revolution. Not the white of the global north side kind, but white as in the color of milk.
Yeah. So it is impressive that you know.
Yeah.
Impressive that you know so much about it right off the top of your
And
mind.
the concept is still the same. Like the idea
Yeah, yeah.
how it started,
Yes,
it is still the
and
same.
more or less,
And
unless like there have been, I don't think there have been any drastic changes in that.
I
But
don't know. But giving the benefit of doubt, Prakhar, you want to talk about what the idea was actually?
No, the same idea. I'm just asking when they started with the idea of Amul. Is it the same even now, or has it been changed with the given?
I think it's pretty much the same. I'm sure there must have been some changes over the years, but I think the basic concept still remains the same, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken. Please, the one person who might be listening, please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But
No,
I think it's
one
Yeah.
person.
I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
wanted to ask you that just so that we know that it is possible and they've been doing this for
Yeah,
so
yeah.
long and it's
Amul
not
is a
very
is a
difficult.
very successful example of a business
Cooperative.
going
Yeah.
cooperative and not even just being successful but thriving. And it's
Yeah, yeah,
extremely. It's probably India's biggest milk brand, if I'm not
yeah.
mistaken.
But why is it that cooperatives make so much sense in today's world? Is because simply because of decentralization. You are taking away the power from a few people and ensuring that everybody gets a share of the pie.
Yeah,
That's where circularity and sustainability starts, right? That is what indigenous communities have been doing for so long. They have ensured that they are not taking more than they need.
yeah, yeah.
And hyper local also ensures one thing, that you are not producing indiscriminately also, right? So it's very sustainable by its nature. You are allowing people in cooperatives, you are allowing people to take ownership. Every member gets one vote. There is no voting on the basis of how much stake you own in the business.
I think this. It's a very interesting topic. I think this will also help us in avoiding the very famous tragedy of the commons. Probably that's an interesting topic we might cover in one of the
Let's
forthcoming episodes. But
Yes. I mean, tragedy of the
yeah,
commons is a myth. It's fiction.
yes, but it's interesting nonetheless.
It's interesting.
Yes,
So we don't have to avoid it. We don't have
yeah,
to
yeah,
avoid
yeah,
the problem of tragedy of commons because it doesn't exist.
and it has very real world implications also.
The racism.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
because of which-
absolutely, absolutely.
So just clarifying here for whoever knows tragedy of commons, we will discuss this sometime in the future. But tragedy of the commons is a myth. It doesn't exist.
Yes,
It has been used to exploit people,
agreed.
and it needs to be dismantled. But there is no problem to be avoided. It's actually the rich people that we need to avoid and we need to bring down. Right. So it is not the tragedy of the commons, but the tragedy that the commons have borne because
Having
of
said that, we do need rich people to sponsor us, please. So,
amazing. So now you both are running a business, right?
mhm.
You can ensure your business in your way starts following the regeneration model, right? You start ensuring that there is an element of uh, giving back. Okay?
Mhm.
And by giving back, I don't mean giving back in charitable ways, actually providing opportunities to the community,
Mhm.
right? Would strongly recommend that you read this book. You guys definitely should, because you are running a business, right? You are running an agency. You definitely should read this book, Regeneration, by Kotler and Foglia and Sarkar, right?
Should this episode ever go out into the public space, we'll make sure to include a link to this book for all those who may be interested in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic book. And there are other resources also that I will talk about, and we could include the links to
Yeah.
those as well. But these are these systems that you can start implementing in your small way, because we are talking local,
Mhm.
hyper local, community led, right? As a consumer, what I can start doing is I can start ensuring that I am buying from these regeneration based businesses as well. For example, I did not know this, I found this out just yesterday. Selco is one of them.
Mhm.
You know the company
Selco Foundation.
Selco Foundation, but also
Yeah, yeah.
Selco like has different organizations,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
they're
yeah.
catering to the energy gap in different ways.
Mhm.
So there is a fund that is distributing money the way it should be. There is the grassroots operations
Mhm.
that is being done. There is research that is being funded. So Selco is functioning on that
Mhm.
model. What can I do as an individual? I can ensure that my pension funds, my retirement funds, my mutual funds, my investments are going to these businesses. My
Right.
investments are not going into businesses now. And I personally need to rectify this, because The way I chose my mutual funds or the way I chose my investments was, I was told that, okay, these are, my financial advisor told me, this is where you should go, this is what you should do, this is what is going to give you highest returns. I have not even seen and I have not even checked where is that money actually going. Instead of that, if I start investing in local projects, whatever be my amount, if I start investing there, that money is used to build the community I am in. So the common benefit is achieved.
Okay, I completely buy that, but not that I'm against the idea, but most people like us, who are not rolling in the riches, the primary purpose of investing in mutual funds and stocks is to get some return out of it and get some profit out of it. If these projects, however good they might be, don't promise a considerable return on the amount we've invested, it's sort of, so it's a lose-lose situation for everyone involved.
Very good point. Now, buy local and circular businesses. I do not mean not profitable.
Hmm.
I absolutely think that they have to be sustainably profitable as well.
Hmm.
All I mean is, it cannot be unlimited returns. You cannot have
Fair.
unlimited profits. And let's face it, all of these investments that we are doing otherwise, we are not the ones getting unlimited profits anyway. No?
Yeah.
It's somebody else getting it. Right? So instead of making the rich significantly more richer, let's actually put in the money in profitable businesses. Yes.
Hmm.
But in businesses that are more circular that way. Right?
Agreed.
In
Yeah.
businesses like Selco and Amul.
Yep.
They are massive corporations,
Yeah.
but they are still following a regeneration based business model. They are still investing back into the community, and it's actual investing. So I think that the solution is, you need to start questioning, what is the impact of my business? What is the impact of what I'm doing? What is the impact of what I'm buying?
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds extremely overwhelming. I realize that. But when you start doing it for one thing,
Yeah.
like anything else, right, it starts getting easier. For those of you who have been involved in fitness, right, I like, we three are at wildly different levels of fitness, correct? Like Prakhar, you are an extremely fit person. Sandy, you are terribly disciplined. Like I am not. I am more of I'm lucky. My body reacts well, but I'm more of a sporadic, person. But all three of us have experiences that the first step was overwhelming in this as well.
Yeah.
We just
Yeah.
didn't know where to start with. We just didn't know what nutrition, what protein amount to actually take, what is the exercises that what are the exercises that we should do. Going to a gym, especially as a woman, it is a massive pain in this city. Like I genuinely don't like Delhi gyms, right?
Shout out to Delhi
And Delhi bros.
and Delhi bros. Yes. How can we miss them?
But when we began, step number 2 became easier. Then step number 3 became easier, and then it's just significantly better,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And also community. This is another example I want to talk about, how everything starts with community, right? I was the first time I even bothered to take care of my fitness was when my friend circle became people who took care of their fitness.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When I was in Madrid and there were students, like I chose a gym that was between my school and my house, and I ensured that my friends would tell me, you are going back home, let's go to the gym instead. That, like, it's just a support circle and then the habit forms, and then you start doing more and more and more. And that's the same thing with any other change you want to make. You want to make better choices on sustainability. You want to ensure that you signal out to your government and to the businesses around that we are not going to put out with this. Start forming this circle. Start becoming a part of this circle. And there are such people around. And when I started looking into this Resilient Cities Network is one big example. I didn't know that there were 3 cities in India that were already doing this. Right? So there are networks and there are communities that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
And in my experience, these communities are far kinder than, tech bros communities and whatnot. Okay. So that's basically what I think
Yeah.
going towards the solution looks like.
Yeah.
We don't have a perfect solution yet, and that is fine. We genuinely don't have it. A few resources that I want to mention, unless you guys want to talk.
No.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Okay. Few resources, of course, this book that I mentioned. There is something called Dark Matter Labs by Indy Johar.
Mm-hmm.
This person, Indy Johar, is a completely no nonsense person. All right. He will tell you as things stand
Mm-hmm.
right now. It is everything he writes is complex, is very, very sobering,
Mm-hmm.
gives you a headache, but is extremely necessary. I have not seen a clearer point of view put forward than Indy Johar does. Fair warning, it's very complex. You need to sit with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's worth it simply because the systems we live in are also complex. If carbon lock in teaches us one thing, it is that, right? That there is dismantling required at a very
Right.
basic root level, right? So I would suggest sitting with it, but you can start with simpler things as well. I listen to two podcasts that are absolutely fantastic. So one is Planet Critical. That's also, both of them are run by journalists. Planet Critical, and the second is Wild with Sarah Wilson. Okay. Both of them, Planet Critical, it of course talks about why the planet is in crisis. Wild with Sarah Wilson talks about all of the different, as the
Mhm.
name suggests, wild systems, right? Like the ecosystems that exist and what we can do, and how she talks a lot about how systems are already collapsing. Okay. So what do we need to do for it? And there are, from these, you will start finding other resources. You will start finding other books. And fair warning, it is going to be overwhelming. Like it
Yeah.
is, when you start reading this and when you start listening to all of this, it's terrifying. It's so, disturbing that we don't have the time to take any more baby steps. But it also is, in a very odd way, hopeful,
Mhm.
right? It starts, I mean, you start questioning a lot of different things, and small solutions start popping up,
Mhm.
and you start going towards that, right? So
Mhm.
I think it is 100% worth it. Again, we'll put the links in the description to all of these.
Fair enough.
That's all from my side. I'm now tired.
Well, that's a banger of a topic to start off on. Our little endeavor, small changes, however small they may be. I mean, I'm sure you would agree with the fact that uh, even if we start like doing one or two small things over time, we might end up, the snowball effect.
Yeah.
It might. At least the hope is that eventually this might snowball into something tangible at a regional, semi-regional, even country level, national level,
Yeah.
national level change. And obviously a lot of grassroots movement is required to do that.
And it is being done already.
Yeah,
That's the thing. We don't
yeah.
have to start from zero. There's so much that is being done already. We just need to become parts of it.
That's what we aim to do.
Who's taking this up next time? Who's
Next time would be a relatively less heavier a topic. I would reckon,
Sure.
whoever it may be.
I think the next episode should be an investigative piece into why Prakhar and the boys went to Bangkok for a
Oh, God.
for the bachelor's trip.
Well, whatever happens in Bangkok stays in Bangkok. At least that's what I've heard.
Prakhar said that
The Vegas rules apply.
We went for a sustainable development meet, so summit that was happening in Bangkok.
in Bangkok.
And yeah,
I don't know about
We-
sustainable, but it was sustainable, definitely.
Ew, disgusting.
Some sustainable development took place, I've been
Ew,
told.
Sandy.
we feel a lot better after coming back from Bangkok. We feel a lot better.
Yeah,
And
of course. And
we
they
have
all
hope
feel
for the future.
and they all feel very relieved and
Relaxed.
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 And
Ew, this is
Yeah.
disgusting. I don't want to talk about this.
you literally asked for it.
Yes, but I thought we'll make Prakhar uncomfortable, not me.
It's very hard for anyone to make me uncomfortable.
That's absolute nonsense, Prakhar. You get
They
uncomfortable.
don't know
on
me. I
this-
can at least.
You get uncomfortable on literally everything.
I am getting uncomfortable right now.
Well, this would be the point where we would have ideally like to take in some listeners' questions or whatever. But since we only have the 3 listeners, which is the 3 of us, we literally don't have any questions to answer.
Also,
so
they have no place to call us. What do you
that
mean?
is also true. We don't even have an email ID at this minute.
No, I think on a side note, हम लोग कुछ बना सकते हैं.
Yeah, yeah.
हाँ.
We're,
Questions
like the rookies that we are, we haven't
Yeah.
even thought of making an email ID yet. But we
No,
do
that's
have
okay.
a theme song.